Before we start doing any mixing, we need to talk about the objective of what audio mixing is. And I'm going to use this song, which I used in the Producer's Engineers toolbox and also in the Songwriter's Musicians toolbox, which is called Impasse. And it's a song that I wrote and had some great session players record onto, including drums, guitar, bass, keyboards, and vocals. So when we look at the track count of this particular project, we start with track number 1, and I'm going to use the scroll wheel on my mouse to just scroll down to the bottom of the track column, and you can see that I have a grand total of 33 tracks, most of which are audio, except that there is one MIDI track, and I'll explain why we have a MIDI track in this project a little bit later. But we have 33 tracks of different musical recordings. So I'm going to mouse wheel my way back up to the very top of the list. Now, each one of these tracks has a recording on it, and all of those different components of this particular project are what make up the entire song. However, the primary objective of mixing is getting to a point where you can hear each individual track separately inside of the entire mix. For example, if we look at the drum tracks, we will want to hear both of these kick drum tracks, as well as both snare drum tracks and the hi-hats and ride cymbal. So we'll want to hear all of these individual drum tracks, but then we also need to be able to hear the other tracks in the project. So I'm going to mouse wheel down a little bit more. So along with all of those individual drum tracks, of which there are 11, there are also 2 bass tracks, and I'll want to be able to hear those as well. Same thing with the guitars, and I've got a lot of guitars in this project, but we're not going to end up using all of them. But you can see I've got lots and lots of guitar tracks. And then finally I have keyboards and vocals. So the objective of mixing is to take all of your tracks and make sure that you can hear every single track that was recorded. So you're going to put yourself in the mind or the ears of the listener so that the listener can hear all of those tracks and the music can convey to the listener what you want to say or what your client wants to have said for their particular project if you are the producer and not the songwriter. So what kinds of techniques would you use to make sure that every single track in your project is heard by the end listener? Well, I'm going to describe the 3 most powerful mixing techniques, which I call the Pro Mix techniques, in the next tutorial.